That brings us to our next question, Deborah and Eureka, which you guys so eloquently transitioned us into, is what is going to happen this spring? It has been a topic of discussion, what the crash and all this stuff. As a matter of fact, you've seen an increase in the number of realtors using thumbnails with fire, in part due to Christina and Smallhorn and her leadership, who I'm sure she'll say something in a second, because every time we mention her, I know she's here. She's watching. And we also have, Malcolm. We are in these YouTube groups and they talk about using fire. But one of the interesting things about it is a lot of the agents that are using the fire are not talking about a pending crash. It's the ones like Susie Orman, who need to sell the books, that tend to be talking about a crash coming and what's going to happen. But for the most part, real estate agents are pretty mild when it comes to what they feel like is going to happen. So I wanted to open this conversation up. There is an article, and you can go ahead and show that article, producer Matt. There's an article on Inman that basically talks about what's going to happen this spring. What the spring means for real estate, buyers beware. And it has 3 or 4 different agents chiming in on what they think is going to happen and mortgage rates. And it's a lot of anecdotal stories. Actually, they have 5, 6, 7 agents. And basically the agents are just kind of giving their opinion. And so we have the incredible ability to bring up wonderful agents live on the show. And so I wanted to get you guys' opinion. I'd like to, Dan, I want you to give us your opinion on it. What do you think is going to happen this spring? I'll give my opinion on it, and then we could take a couple of commenters and a couple of the commenters on YouTube and Facebook, and we can also take some on Clubhouse, and then we'll go ahead and close out the show. So, Dan, what is going to happen this spring? Is it going to be the real estate crash that we're all thinking?
No.
What?
No. It's just, I mean,
what will happen?
So I've been in the business 10 years now. And so I've only known up, essentially. It was really weird in 2011. Then 2012 was just kind of an awkward year. In my opinion, and from my business, the real estate market didn't know what it was. There was still a lot of shadow inventory. There was still a lot of really, really rough short sales hitting the market. Then 2013, it kind of went, oh, okay, so we're this and not that. And it kind of sped up and it kind of got crazy. I was experiencing a lot of competition. Again, I'm in Southern California, a lot of competition on the buy side. It was definitely a seller's market. But I've never really known a true flat market. I've never seen one. I've never seen anything more than 4 months inventory, 3 months inventory. It's never been crazy long amounts of inventory. So I go back, I talk to people like Ray, who literally started as the crash was happening, had a great first month. And then, and then a lender friend of mine as well, literally started as it was about to crash. Same thing, had a killer first month, and then boof, and he had to rebuild. But then I go back to my brokers who have been in the business since 2002 or 2003. And essentially where they're saying they're seeing that we're in 2005 right now as things escalate, right? As they go crazy, they're saying, just houses are hours on market. And there was a story, as we were reading through stories today, I saw that, more and more people are buying houses sight unseen. And now that could mean that they're going through Zoom, or because I have a lot of clients that I help with Zoom. I have for the last year. But so they're speeding up and it is crazy, but I think it's different than 2005 because potentially, back then anyone was getting a loan, right? And it was inevitable that it was going to crash. And that's the way they were betting against the market. Christian Bale, if you don't know, he's an actor now, but before he was an actor, he was betting against the market. He's in The Big Short, if you haven't seen that. But so in my opinion, I don't think we can lead to a crash, but what I do believe is that there will be a very solid correction. And I think it's going to start with buyer fatigue. Buyers are going to go, dude, interest rates are now, it's really not worth it. They're at 3.5%, 4%. It's not worth it. I'm tired of looking. I'm tired of losing out on houses. I'm over it. They're going to get tired. Sellers are going to keep pushing their prices up when they shouldn't be anymore because their agent isn't paying super close attention to the market. And I think it's going to push things back a little bit. And we're going to get to the point where, and again, I don't call it a crash. I call it a heavy correction, that 10% range, because we're right now over 10% higher than a year ago. It has to chill. It has to come back. And then we'll see a little bit more inventory come onto the market. And we may even see the part where, like in 2007 and 8, you may have to adjust your price as you're listing the home. It may be that current where buyers just aren't as available, and it may turn into a seller's market. I think that's going to happen over the course of months, though. I don't think it'll be quick. I don't.
Well, the interesting thing about the corrections, we define a correction as a 10% change, right? That's kind of what the stock market defines that correction as.
Yeah.
So a 10% adjustment down usually. And, we just had pending home sales drop 10%, but home sales in general haven't, mainly because low supply. As long as the buyer demand sustains, then we just have to figure out how to get more housing on the market, which will provide more jobs and a stronger economy as a whole, because builders will build. When builders are incentivized to build, builders will build. And as long as we could get materials, but materials prices are now at the point where people are looking at manufacturing in other ways and alternative resources and all kinds of stuff. So I think letting the market play out is good. I don't suspect that we'd see a crash. There's only one way I can envision a crash, and it's if all the buyers that are in the market right now are like, huh, I am so tired of this, and they sign a 1-year lease, right? And then you have all these people that are now going to rush to sell, put their home on the market. And so now it suddenly goes from 1 month of supply to 6 months of supply, 7 months of supply.
But how quickly can it do that, though? It's that would be impossible.
Well, and interest rates start to go up. So then the buyers are doubly depressed. And then the sellers are like, well, then I'm not going to. That would be, and even then it's a stretch in my mind.
But is it a crash, though? That's not a crash. It's a heavy correction, right?
Here's the headline I think you'll see if we do have a resurgence of supply on the market and there are fewer buyers that are interested and rates start to go up, you will see home price gains slow. That's good. They're still going to gain. Home prices are still going to go up, but they will just slow, which is going to be good for the market and affordability, which we've been saying for 2 years now, and they just haven't. I do want to take a comment from Christina M. Smallhorn.
If you mention her, she will show.
A little bit about her.
All you have to do is mention prefab or tiny homes. Boom.
Tiny homes. She's there. She said there will be a correction in a couple of years. Well, yes. What comes up must go down. It's been going up and it's due to come down soon. But I think when she's saying come down, she doesn't mean like pricing. I would suspect that she's just meaning the furor that is in the real estate market.
Yeah, the nuttiness that's going on. Because we go back, we covered on the show, but Susie Orman had a very incendiary, false, 100%, 1,000% false post on Facebook from last June, I believe it was. And essentially she said it's going to crash, not correct. She said 50%. Her numbers were 50%. Your house is worth 300 now. In November, and you can go find the post. In November, it will be worth 150 grand. It'll go by half. So imagine if you buy a house for 300 and then next week your neighbor's house is worth 150. That was her post, and it got her a lot of likes, but it also got her a lot of comments, and most of them were like, "Dude, you're wrong." And she has another one,
3,000 some odd shares, and most of the people were like, "This lady's totally wrong." So
and it's one thing to really know your stuff and really research these markets and these numbers, but it's another thing to just try to post something just to be incendiary and try to get clicks, which is all she's doing. It's very, very transparent that that's what she's doing, and she's very, very wrong. So the people that follow her, stop.
Mario Flores says stronger lending rules on loans won't bring an 08 back. I agree with Dan. With a correction, and buyers may get tired of crazy market, especially for first-time buyers. And then he makes a comment, lots of YouTubers using thumbnails and titles make it seem like a huge economic downturn. Christina, do you know why people might do that? If you're not in the YouTube for real estate group, you should join it. Christina goes on to say some markets I think will never go back down, like Austin, Texas, with all the new tech companies. They'll never be back to prices they've seen in the past. I would agree. And Melissa Mars says she's so beyond wrong, meaning Susie Orman. So I would agree with that sentiment, Christina. Do we have anybody in Clubhouse that wants to add anything? You can flash your mic and I'll put you up. Okay, Deborah. I'm going to come to Deborah and let her tell us what her prediction for this spring is.
Keep your eyes on Janet Yellen. We to look at things in a bubble, but the bubble is much larger than we are. And right now, where we're busy trying to pick the economy back up on its feet, we have a little window of opportunity. That's why spring's going to also be solid for us, is because people who can buy and can sell will still be engaging in the market, and other people will be getting on their feet. Next year is a whole different deal. You know, mortgage rates are definitely going to have to start creeping up, because we are a major economic indicator, and balance is really completely off balance right now. I mean, what we're trying to do is almost a World War II kind of effort to get people back in their jobs, back on their feet and stuff. We almost have half of the world's going through a depression, the other half is doing okay. So keep an eye on the bigger picture too, because as the Biden plan rolls out, it's going to affect other parts of this. And, you know, Janet Yellen's been around for a while. She's very senior at this. She knows how to throw the balls in the air and make sure which ones land. But, you know, let's not just look at what's happening at a granular level, but look a little higher as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, we've been watching her for a long time now, the previous administration and now this one. And you know, the Fed's job basically, and I've said this over and over, so I won't belabor it, but it's to keep full unemployment and to prevent inflation. So as we get closer and closer to full employment, I think she'll have to raise rates. And as she does, that should pull back on some of the buying. It should lower, you know, some of the pre-qualifications that people are in. Would it create more affordability? I think only when inventory comes back too. Christina, so I appreciate the comment, Deb. Christina Smallhorn says, remember when Susie said it was going to crash at the beginning of Corona and home prices were going to tank? Yep. That's what we took issue with. I took her down.
Remember that. We bring it up pretty much every week.
Yeah, we try.